Every data center in the world is designed to never go down. Redundant power, redundant cooling, redundant networks, backup generators, backup batteries, backup backups. And yet they fail, sometimes because of a software bug, sometimes because of a single human decision, sometimes because of a fire that should have been stopped in seconds. These are the 5 worst data center failures in recent history. Each one reveals a different vulnerability, and each one changed the industry. On the morning of 27th of May 2017, the Saturday of a UK bank holiday weekend, an engineer working at British Airways data centre near Heathrow Airport disconnected the facility's power supply. The details of why remain disputed. What happened next is not. When the power was reconnected, an uncontrolled power surge cascaded through the facility, bypassing the UPS systems and backup generators. The surge damaged IT equipment across the data center. BA's core systems, booking, check-in, baggage handling, flight operations all went down simultaneously. Over 2 days, more than 1,000 flights were grounded, 75,000 passengers were stranded. Heathrow and Gatwick terminals descended into chaos. The airline's parent company estimated the total cost at $102 million. The root cause was not a cyber attack. It was not a natural disaster. It was an engineer disconnecting a power supply in a facility that lacked adequate protection against uncontrolled power restoration. The backups were there. They were bypassed by the surge. The lesson: redundancy only works if the failure mode is anticipated. An uncontrolled power surge was not in the playbook. It is now. I covered this in detail in an earlier video, but it belongs on this list because it remains the worst physical data center disaster of the decade. On 10th of March 2021, a fire caused by overheating UPS units destroyed the SBG2 building entirely and damaged 4 rooms in SBG1. 3.6 million websites across 464,000 domain names went offline. Customer data was permanently lost with no recovery possible. The investigation found no automatic fire suppression. Shipping container construction with plywood floors, a natural convection cooling design that acted as a chimney during the fire. The lesson: fire suppression is not optional. Physical building design matters as much as IT design. And if your data exists in only one location, it does not exist at all. On 4th October 2021, every Meta service, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger, went offline globally for nearly 6 hours. 3.5 billion users across all platforms were affected. The cause was a routine maintenance command that was supposed to assess the capacity of Facebook's backbone network. Instead, the command accidentally disconnected every Facebook data center from the internet simultaneously. The situation was compounded by a design decision. Facebook's DNS servers were configured to withdraw their routing announcements if they lost connection to the data centers. So when the backbone went down, the DNS servers effectively told the entire internet that Facebook no longer existed. The recovery was delayed because the outage also disabled Facebook's internal systems. Employees could not access their own tools, email, or even door entry badges. Engineers had to physically travel to the Santa Clara data center and manually reset the backbone routers. Facebook stock dropped nearly 5%. Mark Zuckerberg's personal wealth fell by over $6 billion in a single day. The platform lost at least $60 million in advertising revenue. The lesson: a single command in a single maintenance window can take down a global platform if the safeguards designed to catch it have their own bugs. And when your internal tools depend on the same infrastructure as your product, you lose the ability to fix the problem. In December 2021, AWS experienced three separate outages in a single month, all centered on its US East-1 region in Northern Virginia. The largest of these on 7th December lasted for hours and took down services for Disney Plus, Netflix, Spotify, DoorDash, Venmo, and even Amazon's own Alexa devices. Colleges across the United States cancelled exams because the platforms hosting them were unreachable. Amazon's own warehouse workers could not scan packages. The cause was an automation error in a network configuration that caused internal systems to behave abnormally, creating a cascading failure across dependent services. The financial impact was immense but difficult to quantify precisely. Analysts estimated at least $1 billion in economic losses across companies dependent on AWS. What made this failure particularly significant was the concentration risk it revealed. Thousands of companies from startups to Fortune 500 enterprises had built their entire infrastructure on a single AWS region. When that region failed, they had no alternative. The lesson: cloud redundancy requires multi-region deployment, not just multi-availability zone within a single region. And the three outages in 1 month proved that even the world's largest cloud provider is not immune to systemic failure. On 19th of July 2024, a faulty software update from cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike caused an estimated 8.5 million Windows computers worldwide to crash simultaneously with the blue screen of death. This was not a data center failure in the traditional sense. It was a failure that propagated through data centers. CrowdStrike's Falcon sensor, installed on servers and endpoints across enterprises and cloud environments worldwide, received a content update that contained a defect. The defect caused the Windows kernel to crash on boot, rendering affected machines unrecoverable without manual intervention. The scale was unprecedented. Every affected machine required a manual fix, booting into safe mode and deleting a specific file. For organizations with thousands of servers, that meant days of round-the-clock recovery work. Airlines were the hardest hit. American Airlines, United, and Delta grounded flights. Some airlines did not fully recover for nearly a week. Hospitals delayed procedures, emergency services lost dispatch systems, financial institutions could not process transactions. 10 days after the initial failure, CrowdStrike reported that approximately 99% of affected sensors were back online. The total economic damage was estimated in the tens of billions of dollars. The lesson: a single software vendor deeply embedded in critical infrastructure can take down the entire digital economy with one bad update. This was not a cyber attack, it was a quality control failure in a routine software patch. The most destructive data center adjacent event in history was caused by a single file. 5 failures, 5 different root causes, an uncontrolled power surge, a fire with no suppression, a maintenance command with a broken safeguard, a cloud region with insufficient isolation, a software update with no staged rollout. Every one of these failures was preventable. Every one of them was caused by a decision or a missing decision that seemed small at the time and turned out to be catastrophic. The data center industry learns from failures the way aviation learns from crashes. Every incident triggers an investigation, every investigation produces recommendations, and every recommendation becomes a standard that prevents the next operator from making the same mistake. But the systems keep getting more complex, the dependencies keep multiplying. And the next failure, the one nobody has anticipated yet, is always out there.